Good afternoon. It's so good to see all of you here today. This is honestly my favorite day of the year. It's the day where we really get to feel the support of our community. So just so much gratitude for you for being here. This is, as you've heard, the most people we've had in this room since before COVID. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up for young people you may never meet, but who I know you deeply believe in. People who understand that hope is not something we just talk about here. It's something we build together. And whether this is your first Champions or your 25th, thank you for being here. Your presence sends a message to our young people that they are worth showing up for. For me, this is deeply personal. This month, I am celebrating 17 years at Treehouse, built on passion originally sparked from my experience as a foster parent. It was a long time ago. I remember what it was like the day that two little boys came into our home, how disorienting and overwhelming those first hours were, the uncertainty, the questions. The training I received did not prepare me for a 3-year-old in my back seat asking me, "Where are we going? When will I see my grandma?" During that time, I was profoundly struck by a foster care system that doesn't work for anyone. Not the children and youth it's meant to protect, not the parents struggling to do better, not the caregivers trying to provide stability, nor the caseworkers that are stretched to their limits. That experience made me realize that this was the work that my heart wanted to do. This year, nearly 9,000 children and youth in our state will wake up in foster care, not because of anything they did, but because the adults in their lives could not keep them safe. They are forced to navigate transitions and traumas that no young person should have to navigate. When they enter foster care, the state becomes their legal guardian. We become their legal guardian. These are our tax dollars, our systems, our collective responsibility. I don't see this as a burden. I see this as an invitation to be the kind of community that says these are our kids and we will stand with them. Thank you. Before I continue, I want to ask you a question. Who was it that made a difference in your life? Maybe it was a coach, a teacher, or an auntie. Think about them. See their face. What did they say or do that helped shape the person that you are today? Chances are it wasn't something extraordinary. They changed your life because they showed up and they stayed. For me, it was my Shorewood High School world history teacher, Jim Alderdice. I mean, if you knew Jim Alderdice, you know what I mean. He was the hardest, scariest teacher in the school. He had a reputation, and I really wanted to live up to his expectations. After a big test one day, he pulled me aside, and he said, "Dawn, you did fine, but did you even study?" I had not studied. In that moment, he conveyed to me that he saw potential in me that I had not fully claimed yet, and that he expected me to rise to that potential. Being seen in that way can change everything. Research shows us that one caring, stable adult, that makes all the difference in the life of a young person. So what about the experience of foster care makes this so crucial for our young people? I want you to imagine yourself at 12 years old and being told you have to leave your home today. You can only take what you can carry, no goodbyes, no explanations. You don't get to finish your school day. You may not even fully understand why this is happening. And as you sit in the back of a car with someone you have never met before, you're not thinking about the future. You're wondering, where will I sleep tonight? And when will I see my mom? And the very next day, you're expected to show up in a classroom ready to learn. That's where Treehouse steps in. A youth education specialist is that one caring adult, often the most consistent person in their life. We see young people for who they are. We believe in their brilliance, their potential, and we walk alongside them as they discover it for themselves. Treehouse ensures youth have the essentials they need to show up at school with confidence. We remove financial barriers so they can have the experiences that help them discover who they are and what they love. We partner with the adults in their lives to stabilize their education, protect their educational rights, and ensure that they are not punished for the ways their trauma shows up in the classroom. And we work with them every week, helping them set goals, build skills, and develop the belief that dreams are possible. And when they graduate from high school, we stay with them as they take their next steps into young adulthood, because no young person should have to navigate that transition alone. Over my years at Treehouse, I've learned this: young people in foster care are not defined by what has happened to them, but by the resilience and strength they show every day in spite of it. We see young people face unimaginable challenges with courage, creativity, and grit. We see them discover talents they never knew they had. We see them graduate, thrive, and begin to imagine their futures for themselves. And there is nothing more powerful than witnessing that transformation. At Treehouse, we believe education is the key. For more than a decade, our North Star has been that young people in foster care will graduate from high school at the same rate as their peers. We know that when students in foster care graduate, their chances of long-term success skyrocket. Since launching Graduation Success, more than 1,400 Treehouse students have graduated from high school. And yes, 1,400. Behind every one of these numbers is a young person who refused to give up, and this community who refused to give up on them. Together, we have increased the statewide on-time high school graduation rate from students in foster care from 36% to 51%. But I want to tell you that our true magic is convincing another 20% of those seniors that did not graduate to keep on their journey to earn that diploma. What makes Treehouse unique and powerful is that our work is 80% funded by this community. That's over 6,000 people just like you who come together to make a difference. Today, you have the opportunity to do something powerful, to step into that shared responsibility and invest in the possibility of these young people. Your generosity becomes a winter coat that fits, a pair of cleats that lets them be part of a team, a bus pass that gets them to school, a mentor who shows up and stays. Your gift becomes opportunity, it becomes stability, and it becomes hope. Your support can change everything, and you're about to see that in Winter's story. Winter recently sat down with video producer Sydney Beaumont to share her journey.
I felt very separated from my peers and from my classmates. A big challenge that I had while I was in foster care was clothing. Also, I would get food donations from school, and that was always kind of embarrassing to walk out with big grocery bags in front of all my peers.
When I first met Winter, she was mad. She wasn't given any choices about what was really happening to her. She was just at the mercy of all of the adults in her life.
It was very hard to focus on school when I was constantly in that fight or flight, not knowing if I was going to have a house or food or how long I was going to be here or when I was going back with my mom.
If you go to bed one night not knowing where you're going to sleep the next night because your placement is unstable or it's volatile, young people lose lots of progress.
I would just sleep all day from the depression and malnourishment. It was also very traumatic to be separated from my sisters. When we were small children, it was really hard. So for that to be happening again while we were teenagers was so incredibly scary.
When foster youth are bouncing around between houses, between caregivers, a lot of educational milestones get missed. And so part of our role as an education specialist is to keep track of all the things.
When I first started working with Sherry, I was failing a lot of my classes. I didn't even see the point of doing school because I didn't really have any motivation or even an idea of a future past tomorrow.
The magic happens when you are following the lead of that young person and trying to discover what it is that makes them want to do something. Are they motivated by an experience? Are they motivated just by the idea of the success that they're looking to have?
One of the first questions that Sherry asked me was, what colleges do you know of in Washington? And I said, well, I think I know about UW. Other than that, I think there's a community college near my house. I didn't know just how many colleges that there were and all of the jobs that I could have if I went to college.
I first started working with Winter, and then later Bethany came onto my caseload, and then lastly was Ari.
I first met Sherry. We sat down at like Starbucks and all met each other, and it was instant chemistry. Sherry's very warm and friendly, so we immediately felt really comfortable with her.
Sherry was amazing. I'm so grateful that I got to work with Sherry. I think she helped me grow into the person I am today, and I think my sisters would agree.
Being in foster care, a lot of kids, I would say, don't ever feel like they're really understood in school. I feel like they just oftentimes feel like a nuisance, or like they're stupid, or like they're not enough. So having your own personal advocate, it really helps so much to have someone cheerleading you and helping you through the process.
To be able to know that a kid has a need and that you work for an organization that will provide for that need to be met is really good for them, and it's also really good for us. Winter learned to drive. Ari went to camp. Bethany took swimming lessons. They all did things that I'm not sure they would have even thought to do. Those different experiences are transformative.
The spark that got me moving was definitely having something that was worth working for.
When I think about Winter and her kind of trajectory through high school, it was when the switch flipped and she decided that she wanted to go to college.
I completed my associates at Shoreline Community College, and now I'm studying elementary education at WGU.
She would have always been a great teacher, that's who she is, but based on just the way that her life has gone, she's gonna bring all of that, and she's gonna notice the other kids that need it.
I am hoping that I can help kids in ways that some teachers don't even think about. And it really does feel like it heals my childhood trauma, being able to help another kid that might be in a similar situation.
These guys are resilient, but they also are just without the tools that young people have who live in a consistent place.
We were always dependent on something else. So working with Sherry really opened so many doors of becoming independent and having my own career, which is a big deal because me, Beth, and Ari are like the first ones from my family to really focus on our career.
When I think of Winter and Ari and Bethany, I'm just struck by how much of an honor it is to have been in a place like Treehouse where I get to support a young person who may not have support in other areas of their lives. And what a privilege it has been to watch them grow up, and how I just can't wait to see what comes next.
Would you please join me in recognizing Winter's courage, her brilliance, and her tenacity? I am so excited that Winter and one of her sisters are here with us today. Winter, Bethany, thank you for allowing Treehouse to be part of your journey. Woo! And I also need to recognize Treehouse's own Sherry Edwards. Really, a truly exceptional human being who has impacted the lives of hundreds of young people at Treehouse with her love, her expertise, and her consistency. What you just saw, that is what your support makes possible, not just for Winter, but for thousands of young people across our state who are navigating foster care right now. Earlier, I asked you to think about that one person who made a difference in your life. Today, you have the opportunity to be that person, to pay it forward. In just a moment, you're going to hear from another one of our alumni. I invite you to listen closely to her story and to consider the role you can play in creating more stories like hers. To say to a young person, you matter, you belong, I believe in you. Thank you.